Welcome, and thank you for clicking on this video. If you have ever asked a question, which Ibanez short scale base should I buy? This is the video for you. In this video, we're going to put head to head the Mikro GSRM20 super short scale base up against the Ibanez Talman TMB30 30-inch short scale base. Let's go. On paper, these two bases have a lot in common. They are both advertised to have a poplar body, maple neck, and they're both advertised to have Jatoba fingerboards. The pickups are also the same. They are the Ibanez Dynamex PJ set, and the bridges are the same. Where these two bases differ is in the scale length. The Ibanez Mikro is a 28.6-inch scale, saddle to nut, whereas the Talman base is a 30-inch scale, saddle to nut. Will that result in a sonic difference? Does it change the playability? We're going to find out in this video. I think the best tones from these two bases come with using the precision or P-style pickup alone with a tone knob around 25%, using the P pickup alone with a tone knob around 75%, and then using both pickups with a tone knob around 75%. Let's hear those settings with these two bases head to head up against a drum track. Let's hear it, and then we'll come back and talk about the pros and cons of these bases. Here we go. Please let me know what you think of those sounds. Please leave some comments below. Okay. Well, I think both of these basses for this price point both sound pretty good and they both play pretty well. There are some differences, however, that I want to talk about. First of all, let's talk about the look of these basses, the appearance. Now, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and these two basses look quite different. The Mikro has the famous sound gear shape and design. It's a pretty versatile looking shape, but it's not for everyone's taste, especially if you come from the more traditional Fender style. The Talman, on the other hand, kind of looks like this hybridized retro bass. It has elements of a single cut, as the top horn is pretty small. It has elements of like a 1951 style P bass with the metal plate there and with the pickguard. It also kind of has a bit of a Telecaster vibe. So it's definitely leaning much more towards the retro camp, where the Mikro decidedly looks more modern. Which one looks better? I think that's entirely subjective, and it may depend the type of gig you play in and the type of music you play. But they both look pretty nice in their own way. Now let's talk about the weight. This Mikro bass is very lightweight, and it comes in at 6.5 pounds, this particular example. This Talman bass comes in at 7.75 pounds, so it's over a pound heavier. Although I would say, having played both, the Talman actually feels quite a bit more substantial, and it feels heavier than what the numbers would actually suggest. In terms of balance, the Mikro does have kind of more Godot style lightweight tuners, and with the shorter scale length and the shorter neck, I do find that it balances better in the sitting position. In contrast, the Talman has more traditional looking tuners. It still has a 2+2 headstock style, but due to the slightly longer neck and the heavier tuners, it does have a tendency to want to neck dive more than the Mikro bass. Now let's talk about the neck. The neck on the Mikro bass is super slim. It's a very comfortable profile and shape to play, but it is a pretty tiny neck. And I know some players who love tiny necks and some players who just absolutely loathe tiny necks. So again, that's very player dependent and very subjective. But it's a very fast playing neck, as all sound gears typically are. The Talman, on the other hand, I wouldn't quite call this a baseball bat, but it is quite a bit more substantial and quite a bit thicker compared to the Mikro. It's also wider. So if you are more comfortable on kind of a chunkier neck or like the feel of that, then maybe this neck is better for you. Now, I think all of those factors, the scale length and the neck shape, all kind of contribute to the sound and the tone of the instrument. Listening back to the A-B comparison in this playing example, I find the Talman bass to be quite a bit more articulate, especially in the higher frets and on the higher strings compared to the Mikro bass. I think the biggest influencer there is going to be the scale length, because the longer the scale length, the more articulate those notes tend to be. And I think the super short scale of the Mikro does make the note sound a little flabbier, less taut, just as a nature of it being a shorter scale. So if articulation is what you're after, maybe the Talman will be better for you. Having said that, the higher notes on the Mikro do have a kind of a rounder, warmer tonality to it. So if like a very pingy G string is really not your thing, then the short scale Mikro may fit that bill. Now let's talk about the body for a second. Even though both of these basses are advertised as having poplar bodies, if you look online, you will see some advertisements for the Talman bass featuring a mahogany body. Now, I'm not sure whether or not there have been several iterations or several generations of the Talman bass, but what I will say is in the hand, these bodies feel different from each other wood-wise. And even from a tap tone point of view, I'm going to take this bass drum beater, I'm just going to lightly tap the wood so you can listen to the tone. Now let's compare that to the Mikro. There's almost a minor third between these two. Now, the weight and the size of the wood may be playing a role in the different pitch, or it's entirely possible that under the paint, that's not poplar. And I have really no other way of finding out what's under the paint. But that's a pretty dramatic tap tone difference. Let's discuss the tone of the Talman bass in a little more detail. If you have seen other reviews of this particular bass by other YouTubers such as Low End Lobster or read other reviews online, you may have noticed that one of the criticisms has been that the tone pot does not have a very gradual taper, and it has more of a kind of on and off type feel. And on this particular example, that's partially true. So I wonder whether or not they've tried to correct that at some point, and maybe this is a second generation. I'm not entirely sure. But this particular example, it's not exactly on and off, but what I will say is there's not a very large range in the tone when you adjust how open the tone pot is. Let me demonstrate. Here's both pickups on, and the tone knob is all the way closed. Now let's slightly open it. Open it some more. Some more. You're starting to get a lot more ground hum now. and now it's all the way open. Compared to off. So I will agree that the taper is not great. However, my biggest gripe is there's not a large tonal range. Let's try it with just a P pickup alone. Here, the tone knob is all the way off. There seems to be a large difference with just a tone knob at around 25%. A little more open. So I think if you solo the P pickup, you get more of that on and off type effect. So it's a pretty narrow tonal range that you can get from this tone pod. I do wonder whether or not if I were to change the tone capacitor, whether or not that would make a difference. I might do that later. But for now, in terms of pricing, these Talman basses at time of filming come in around 330 Canadian dollars. So it is a little bit more money than the Ibanez Micro. And I've done a full review on the Micro in another video. Please check the link below. So let's go back to the question I asked at the beginning of this video. Which Ibanez short scale bass should you buy? I think that's going to come down to two main factors. The first one is going to be the appearance of the bass. Which one looks better to you? These are pretty radically different looking designs. Now, as much as I am very much a function over form, I do think the appearance of an instrument does play a role in how inspired one can be and how kind of inviting it is for you to pick it up and play and practice. So you do have to like how it looks, unfortunately. I do, however, think the appearance is very much a subjective thing. So you have to decide for yourself, which do you think looks better? The second deciding factor is going to be the scale length. The Micro, again, is 28.6 inches, whereas the Talman is 30. Some players may find the short, very short scale length of the Micro to be too limiting and too cramped for them. And the 30, in that case, may be a better fit. My suggestion to you is, if you're able, try them out at a local music store and see which one is more comfortable for you. I would say doing the longer chordal stretches, and I did some of that in the playing example, was way easier to do on the Micro due to the smaller scale length. However, the longer scale length on the Talman did make it more articulate. So my best suggestion is try them both if you can and see which one fits you and your playing style better. Now, if I were to pick between these two, I would actually pick the Micro. I just think the shape is more comfortable. It's less wide. So it is more comfortable for me and my body shape to play on. I kind of like the rounder, warmer tone you get, especially on the higher frets on the G string that I get from the Micro over the Talman. But that's just me. Please let me know which one you like better in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.